breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty. Mornings on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
It's Monday already.
It's Monday. You do anything like major league exciting?
No, I drove Uber Eats and cleaned my house, did laundry.
You see everybody that went to the Hendricks experience yesterday, left there and were like, what did I just see?
Really? It was a big deal?
Loving it.
How could it not be?
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. You had guitar virtuosos from, all kinds of amazing people. So great to have that show here.
I hate that I missed it.
I know. Just an incredible opportunity. Since you drove Uber Eats, I've got to ask you, you're out there driving around among us idiots, and you see people not paying attention to their driving all the time.
All the time. Yeah. Absolutely.
Running into curbs, running stop signs.
Absolutely.
Doing all kind of stupid stuff. Well, I'm coming from, I was coming from 70th and Uri, and I was coming down East Kings Highway, past the Albertsons, and I'm headed toward the Duck Pond. I'm going to turn on Preston, but between there, I'm in the right-hand lane. There's a teenage girl in the left-hand lane. Actually, I was in the left-hand lane behind her.
Okay.
And she was going pretty slow, and wasn't going to move over. So I moved over to the right to go around her on the right. Before I got beside her, I'm still kind of behind her. She drifts over into the southbound lanes. I mean, literally almost fully over into that lane.
Okay.
Where she's going to head on somebody.
Oh, no.
Had there wasn't much traffic, thank God.
Right.
And I tapped my horn at her so she would at least pay attention to what she was doing.
Wake up.
Yeah, exactly. And she swerved back over. I'm backing off like she's going to overcorrect and swerve back over into my lane.
Right.
So I backed off. And then I finally get around her. Ruben, she's got her phone down in her lap. And she's looking down at her phone and texting or doing whatever it is she's doing on her phone. And I got home and I immediately looked up distracted driving. What kind of problem is it? And for Louisiana, it's not good news. It is not good news.
God, anytime you look anything up about Louisiana online, it's not good news.
It's
Why?
not. It is not. When you look at the worst states for distracted driving, we're number 3.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you, New Mexico and Kansas. They're the worst, too. Louisiana's the 3rd.
Third worst.
And I see it all the time. And it got me to thinking, and I know this is radical, and people will tell me I have lost my damn mind. What have we done in schools because cell phones were so distracting to the kids?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We took them away completely.
What if we passed a law saying cell phones were not allowed in your car?
That would be a tough one.
There's no way that passes.
Well, I don't think it could.
Not a chance it passes. But the only way around it, because police can't enforce that, you can, unless they absolutely see you with that phone in your hand, it is against the law.
Right.
But you can set the phone aside. You can, make like it was, you were just moving it. I don't know. Unless we do something, because it's killing people. That's the problem.
Absolutely. 100%.
Cell phones in schools were not killing people. It was distracting the kids.
Right.
And they were struggling with their work and paying attention. But cell phones behind this teenage girl, we could be talking about her dead today.
Absolutely.
Had there
100%.
been another car in that other lane coming south, she would have hit on.
She would have hit them and probably hurt them too.
Yes. Somebody innocent because she had something she had to do on that cell phone at that moment. And I'm guilty. I know we all are. We're all guilty of looking at our phone while we're driving. I'm not sitting here telling you I'm innocent. I struggled with I tried for a week to put it in my trunk. Couldn't do it. I couldn't make it the week.
Wow.
I try now to keep it in my purse on the passenger seat, and it is on silent.
Right.
I do glance at it when I'm at a red light. That's when I use my cell phone, when I'm in the car. But it occurred to me, I thought, we took the cell phones away from the kids in the classroom. But yet we're killing people on the roads because of distracted driving. And it's not just cell phones. This distracted driving thing covered, eating, putting on your makeup, playing with your radio or your sound system, all kinds of stuff. You're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Oh, putting on your makeup. Yeah, I ended up, when I was out doing Uber Eats, I ended up behind some lady. And this wasn't dangerous so much as it was annoying. But she was at the stoplight. It turned green, and she was still in her mirror doing her makeup, just sitting there. So I had to lay on the horn.
Lay on the horn. Get moving, woman. Do that when you get to work. Yeah. Do that before you get in your car.
She, of course, jumped and then waved sorry.
Sorry, I got makeup to do.
Yeah.
It's a distracted driving is a problem, and it's directly relatable to people dying on the roads.
100, yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And a lot of them, to be honest, if you look at KEELnews.com, you can see the numbers. A lot of them are young people that are being killed on the roads.
Yeah.
As a direct result of distracted driving. So,
and as the father of a kid who's out there driving, that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah,
it really, really
exactly. Scott Hughes is here. Let's talk football when he gets in the room.
Oh, boy.
What a weekend we had. We will talk about that when we get back. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Ruben, we don't have that LSU. We don't have that anywhere, do we?
Oh, look.
Okay. Yeah, I gave you 2 seconds?
Yeah.
2 seconds.
I think for anybody who went to the game, it's still ringing in their head.
I'm telling you. How freaking exciting was that?
It was one of the legendary games played in the 100-year history of Tiger Stadium. They chose that game to celebrate 100 years, and it lived up to the billing.
That it was just, and to see the light show they did throughout the game, I mean, just spectacular.
I saw a video, and if any listener has not seen it yet, you need to go Google calling Baton Rouge fourth quarter Ole Miss game. It was something to see.
Goosebumps. Seriously.
And kudos to the LSU crowd. The LSU crowd, Tiger Stadium is a legendary stadium. It regularly rates as one of the best places to watch a college football game or a sporting event in any kind. But it has a history of the crowd leaving after the third quarter.
You bet.
And nobody left, and they were rewarded.
They were rewarded for staying there. Keeping your butt in your seat was a big deal Saturday night. And now, I think you said it Friday, this sets the stage for the winner of that game, has a pretty good shot at moving into the college football playoffs, and the loser probably on the outside looking in.
I think we said Friday that if you're not familiar with the new college football playoff system, this is the year they've expanded to 12 teams. Mm-hmm. And 4 teams will get a first-round bye. Those will all be the top 4 seeds probably. And that means 8 other teams make it. And then there's a play-in system. And so when you consider you probably need to be in the top 8, top 6, given that conference champions will be in that mix, that became an elimination game. And what we know now is Ole Miss is out. And if you saw Lane Kiffin, if you saw, I think his name's Jackson Dart, but Dart is the quarterback after the game at the press conference, they just didn't understand how they lost that game. And for the record, LSU never led the entire game. Mm-mm. They didn't lead until the 1.1 second when they did, and it was over.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I was not feeling good. Sausage balls were flying.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
If Nussmeier had been throwing your sausage balls, they all would have been high and to the right.
Yes.
Nussmeier has been one of the best quarterbacks in college football the first 5 games. But in all fairness, he was awful for 3.5 quarters. And then he was as money as you're going to see. The 2 balls he threw, the one on 4th down to tie the game, and then the one in overtime, it was watching Joe Burrow. It was watching Jaden Daniels. It was a money pass under pressure.
Oh.
And the big key, if you're an LSU fan, the big key and the big long-term takeaway, we might have a defense.
Boy, no kidding.
This just in. The reports of our demise on defense have been grossly overrated.
Yes. Coach Kelly even said our defense looked astonishing, and he was proud of them.
Because the thing if you don't follow college football well is Ole Miss has the best offense in college football. Now, granted, they had played a lot of what you would call cupcake teams. They were eating some cupcakes, but they were averaging 600 yards a game. Their defensive line was number 1 in the country in sacks, and both didn't happen. We held that defense down, and then very quietly, and they don't get a lot of credit, but the LSU offensive line, nobody touched Nussmeier.
Yeah.
Number 1 sack team in the country. Nussmeier stayed clean.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, there was 2 other games yesterday we got to talk about.
Well, the pro day was this good for the Architects?
No, what happened?
Well, let's do the Saints first. They're a little easier.
Yeah.
The Saints have had a lot of injuries,
Right.
and I'm not excusing their loss, but they were competitive. If you watch the game through hook or crook, they remained competitive. But they were starting a rookie quarterback, which starting rookie quarterbacks in the NFL is not normally good. Jaden Daniels is an anomaly for Washington this year.
You bet.
Joe Burrow was an anomaly at Cincinnati. But Rattler did okay. I think he played for South Carolina. He did okay as a starting quarterback. And then they lost their best wide receiver on the first play of the game. He got concussed. And so the Saints were competitive, but ultimately lost the game. The Cowboys were a different story. The Cowboys just got outplayed the entire game. The net result's the same. Each team lost at home. It wasn't good. It's going to be a long season for Saints and Cowboys fans.
You think we're no playoffs for either?
I'm not saying no playoffs. Playoffs. We're talking playoffs. No, I don't.
I'll tee it up.
The old joke for longtime listeners. Jim Mora. That was Jim Mora. No, playoffs. Playoffs are still possible. I think, though, any team that wants to make the playoffs needs to go on a little 2 or 3 game run real fast.
Right. I am looking forward to, what is this weekend? Is it Texas, Alabama? Or there's a couple of really big games. Texas, Georgia.
It's Texas, Georgia. And I did see late last night where ESPN Game Day is headed to Austin, Texas for the Texas, Georgia game. LSU Tigers will go to Arkansas. They'll be calling the Hogs in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
They'll be calling the Hogs and calling Baton Rouge up in Fayetteville.
Yeah, battling for the boot. Yeah, we're going to win that one.
And then a shout out, because we don't do this very often, but if you're an SEC fan, Vanderbilt won again.
Yes.
Vanderbilt is 1 win away from possibly being bowl eligible.
Could you imagine Vanderbilt in the SEC championship game?
They're not going to make that. I think Vanderbilt.
Stretching it?
I have people who graduated from Vanderbilt, so we follow Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt plays Ball State this week, which is maybe one of their last winnable games.
Right.
And then they do have Auburn, which will be an interesting game. This is a year that Vanderbilt can beat Auburn.
Okay.
But besides that, Vanderbilt has a few teams left, like Texas and Alabama and Tennessee. So they may need to win a game or 2 more.
Yeah, you got a point.
But
Absolutely.
that could be an Independence Bowl team when you start looking around.
No kidding. That'd be fun. That would be fun. Coming up, we're going to talk about what the Parish Commission wants to do with Fairgrounds Field.
You want to put up money?
Yeah, give us some cash. We'll take some cash.
Cash.
We'll talk about that when we get back. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Oh, boy. Did you have any fun this weekend? Did you do anything fun?
I do fun things every weekend.
Do you?
Yeah. No, this was really a relaxing weekend. I have to come clean. We lost a dog last week.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So we had to. It was a great dog, 14 years, and so it was sort of a downer week at our house. But my wife I've told you before, she's a teacher. And so the Caddo schools were out. It was fall break.
Right.
So a lot of the kids were out. Our kids are older, gone. Mm-hmm. So we just really had a quiet week. And so this weekend was a lot of rest for us. We watched a lot of football.
Yeah. Do you have another dog?
No, we just have the one.
Okay. So you're going to get a replacement dog?
Maybe at some point. But,
let the grieving settle first?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what the rules are on that, but it's going to be at least an official grieving period for a while.
I went through, when I lost my tiger, a little bit of...
You had a live tiger?
No, I had my little Boston...
You had Tiger?
I had Tiger, a little Boston Terrier, which was kind of...
Ours was called Max, little poodle.
And my grandfather bred Boston Terriers. So it was kind of history in our family that a lot of us owned Boston Terriers. And he was my first one to own. And he was a handful. I mean, if you were in the house, he was going to be with you.
And that was our dog.
And he was going to be around you. There was no, you go to your place, I'll go to my place. Bo is very comfortable not being up next to you. But when I lost Tiger, I grieved for a little while. And then it was kind of pleasant because if I wanted to jump up and go out of town for the weekend, I could go. I didn't have to worry about finding a sitter.
That's kind of what we're moving after a week.
So, yeah, it's kind of, and then Bo just he appeared with my son.
It's amazing how animals change your life. And you were mentioning off air, but something you're going to talk about in the future, that there's a no-kill rule coming in Louisiana?
Yes. Next year, Louisiana becomes a no-kill state. Nobody's preparing for that.
Well, I think locally that would be the parish. Wouldn't that be something they should be working on?
They need to be working on it because it's a big change. Our shelter is a kill shelter. And Louisiana law has been passed for a few years. They gave them, I think, 5 years to get ready.
That clock's been ticking. That's something they knew was coming that they maybe should have been paying attention to. Maybe some resolutions?
But you know what? They got a resolution we want to talk about when we get back.
A resolution to fix the no-kill situation.
No, that's not it. They want to save Fairgrounds Field.
Oh.
Isn't that what are they in charge of that?
Well, I think apparently they're in charge of whatever they want to be in charge of.
We're going to talk about that when we get back.
Now, the Fairgrounds Field is a city asset. Let's be clear on that. We're joking here, but that's a city asset.
Caddo Commission sticking their nose in. Should they be? We'll talk to that next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications through LifeMD? LifeMD is now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
I've been able to live my normal lifestyle, and I've lost 20 pounds already. It changed my life.
I wasn't expecting it to shut off the food noise. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to trylifemd.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at trylifemd.com. That's TRYLIFEMD.com.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Okay, I'm a little bit shocked that I'm not shocked that I peruse the Caddo Commission agenda, because I look at all that stuff all the time. And I pulled it up, and to be quite honest, the resolution was put on the agenda last month, and it was delayed or postponed. And now the Caddo Commission is looking at a resolution that would show support for the Friends of Fairgrounds Field.
The issue has been around for 2 years now. So when you first contacted me and said, did you see the resolution? I wasn't aware they'd passed the resolution. But now when you tell me that it's been on there for a number of weeks, that is not a surprise, because the Friends issue has been around for a long time, and they have been, and even their own letter, even the press release we read on Friday that Jerry Harper had made comments on their attorney, they continue to meet with all the groups. They made that very clear, the school board, the commission, everybody. So I'm not surprised that there may be a commissioner or two that wants to put it on the agenda.
You think it has a chance of passing?
I would hope not. because it's not their facility. And we've hit a point now where this is a city of Shreveport issue. It's a city of Shreveport asset. And I know the Caddo Commission has developed a pattern in the last years of wanting to pass resolutions of things that aren't in their jurisdiction at all. And they're getting themselves in trouble more and more. They keep trying to in my opinion, waste the time they should be doing. Like you raised earlier, where's their comprehensive plan on something that's in their sandbox? The no-kill. They've had 5 years, and I would think John Paul Young would be one who would be on that. There seems to be something in his area.
Do they even know that Louisiana becomes a no-kill state next year?
I'm going to say they do because they have staff and they're professionals.
Sure.
But when you spend time on resolutions that aren't even yours, when you're sending things to the President of the United States, to Baton Rouge on legislation, and now across town to the city council on something, if you're going to do that resolution, it needs to include funding. That'd be at this point, that's my position. If you want to pass something, you need to say, we are in for X. Take the vote, put up your public dollars, and then put pressure on the other entities to do the same. To pass a resolution at this point, I think holds no weight.
And for me, if I were the city council of Shreveport or the mayor of Shreveport or SPAR people, I would look at them and go, really?
I'd pass the resolution right back that says we encourage the Caddo Parish Commission to work on the no-kill situation.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be the equivalent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what I might do if I was the city council? Here, put this on let's pass this. Let's donate Fairgrounds Field to the Caddo Commission. We're going to donate it to you. You guys want to be involved? It's yours. Have at it. We cancel our demolition contract. It's now your baby. Do what you want with it. Why not?
Well, the only why not at this point is that all it would do is delay the inevitable another 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
Because now another entity would have to work through the same situation. And I think where the mayor is, and I'm not going to say I 100% agree with him, but I do agree with the mayor's position. He said, this is what it's going to take for me to do something. Here's I think it was 5 things. And nothing's been done now in 2 years.
Right.
And we've reached the point where he has said, right or wrong, I'm going to clean this mess up. Because whatever's taking place out there, the costs are only getting higher. Everybody keeps saying, and I respect the players involved and make that very clear. There are very, very intelligent, wise people on all sides of this issue. But the cost to bring that back at any point now is A, getting only higher, and B, becoming unpractical.
Yes. The bids to tear it down were, the low bid was $334,000, a company out of Dallas. The contract, they're working on getting that signed. It should be signed this week. And then the demolition can begin. The mayor's going to try to sandwich it between the State Fair and the Independence Bowl. I think some of the work might actually start before the State Fair.
As I said last week, you asked me about a possible solution. If I were the city, we seem to have a dispute now over the bat guano once again. That seems to be the Friends of Fairgrounds Fields, go-to card. We're going to pull this card out and play it again. If I were the city, I would say, fine, we'll delay that a couple of weeks, but we're knocking everything else down. Yeah. Because there's no dispute over the light poles or the outfield fence or the dirt or those things. And I just go ahead and start the demolition.
Yeah.
And move on at this point. Because, again, I do represent, a rather large trade association, the Realtor Association. We've had multiple committees look at this over the years. And I would go as far as to say at this point, the general consensus of the public, based on my 1,600 members that we do have in all walks of life, is the time has come to get rid of it.
Yeah. It really is time. And to see that on the agenda, I was kind of like...
Of the Caddo Commission.
Yeah.
I want to see it on the agenda of the Shreveport City Council. That's where ultimately, if there's no action taken, it needs to be.
And why
like
is
the police station.
Why is the commission doing all this stuff that they have no control?
Has the commission taken a position on the police station?
They ought to.
It's the same. It's the same argument.
Might as well. They're doing everything else. The
DDA director. Although that's a closed deal. I mean, but
he starts today, by the the Cedric Glover
congratulations,
starting.
good for Cedric. And I'm not making light, but that's what you're getting into. You're having one political body, take a position on other things. And that's not good. School board does school board, the commission does the parish, and the city does the city.
I learned something about car insurance that you probably don't know about, and I'm going to tell you about it from personal experience. I'm going to tell you about it when we get back.
Yeah, you've had a lot of experience with car insurance lately, haven't you?
Yeah, no kidding. That's coming up. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Now more breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Okay. This is real personal for me, and I'm sorry I'm taking a moment. Scott Hughes is in for Mike Martindale. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
And I learned something that when I told it to some of my friends this weekend, they didn't know anything about it. And they were like, wow, well, you need to share that. And one of them actually works for an insurance company. And she told me, she said, you're not required to share the information in Louisiana. We're not required. You have to inquire about it. So
this is a consumer alert. You're about to save some people some money.
Make you some money, whatever. Yeah. I got in a car wreck August 15th. Okay. It's been a minute. So I was settling with the other insurance company.
Was not your fault.
Was not my fault. It was a hit and run driver.
So you are out. You're the one that's harmed.
I had a rental car for about a month. I'm still going to not physical therapy, to a chiropractor for some misalignment of my neck and spine. Anyway, long story short.
And the Bentley was down. I'll play the part of Mike. Your Bentley was out.
For about a month. My car was out. And they called and said, hey, we're about to settle the car claim, for your rental and all the damage to your car, et cetera. And I'm going to transfer you to our final people. And I said, but before you do, let me ask you a question. My car had never been wrecked before.
It was a brand new car.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I bought it secondhand, but
new to you and very new.
Very new.
And we joke that it's a Bentley, but it's a very nice car. You had invested in this car.
Yes, absolutely. And I said, now it's going to show that it has a wreck, which is going to devalue the car.
The Carfax deal.
Yeah. It's going, when someone pulls it up and I want to sell that car, it's going to show it's got a wreck. That's got to have some price tag to it.
So your asset's worth less because you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what she said? She said, well, I'll have to get you to our diminished value department. And I said, oh, there's such a thing. And she said, yes. I said, well, was somebody going to tell me about that? And she said, no, in your state, we're not.
That's Louisiana, for the record.
We're not required to disclose that. And I thought, really? And she said, absolutely. You have to ask about it.
Maybe that's something you should ask. If only you had the insurance commissioner on your show every now and then.
I absolutely am going to ask him.
Or the governor. You actually get the governor on here.
Some state lawmakers who handle insurance bills. So we went back and forth. We settled on an amount that's, over $1,000 in damage to my car.
Because when you go to sell your car a few years from now, your car, and I'll make numbers up, instead of being worth $20,000 at that point, they're going to say, Miss McCarty, your car is only worth $18,000 because it was in this little wreck.
Yes,
and you're going to go, that's not fair. That wasn't my fault. And what did I lose? $2,000.
Right, didn't that other driver have to pay for that?
But you just got some of that back through diminished. What was the name of the department?
It's called diminished value. Ask about it. If you're ever in a wreck and it's not your fault, you need to know to ask about diminished value. So I have settled that part of the claim. I haven't settled the medical stuff yet, which I'm not trying to run anything up. I just want to make sure that I'm healed.
Yeah, the scars are looking good. It's
Well, I got some blood dripping back in. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk. I'm not going to even tell you because I don't know if he's awake yet. I haven't got my answer to my "Are you up?" text yet. But when we come back, I still want to talk a little bit about the Caddo Commission. I also want to talk about police headquarters for Shreveport. You got all that, right?
You're the one that makes the list. I just answered the questions. But yeah, sure. There's issues with the city of Shreveport police headquarters. They're looking for an interim or a facility, and that needs to take place soon. That discussion's not getting better.
Well, I'll keep driving the Titanic until the iceberg pops up, and we'll see where we go.
Oh, it's out there.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Okay, Scott Hughes in for Mike Martindale today. Thank you for being here.
Great. I'm glad to be here. Mike's back tomorrow, though, right?
Yes, he will be back tomorrow. The State Bond Commission meets today. Not a big deal usually, just kind of regular business. But today...
And this is technically an ad hoc meeting. I think their formal meeting's Thursday. This is sort of an ad hoc meeting today with 5 items on the agenda.
And one of them is very important to our area.
Item number 1. It's actually item 3 on the state bond agenda after roll call and minutes.
Yeah.
It'll be the first item discussed. Item 3 is the Bossier City request to put a vote for term limits on the ballot.
Now, it is an 11 o'clock meeting. Is that right?
11 o'clock a.m. Central Time.
And they do stream it. It's coming from one of the Senate
It's coming from Senate
rooms.
Room AB, and they will stream it. It's live. The interesting thing, I think you and I both feel we've got a good understanding of this, is I don't think they allow public comments. I think that, Friday we were talking to Duke Lowry, and we've talked to others in this issue, and I don't think the Bond Commission allows people to show up like a regular public meeting and speak. There's clearly a process where you can submit written comments. I think you saw that as well.
Sure. And Duke sent me a petition sort of thing that he has distributed that he's submitting to the Bond Commission, or did submit this weekend.
And the rules say you had to submit it by 5 o'clock on Sunday. That would have been last night.
And he sent me a copy of it, and it had a place where you could join in. You could say, I believe, I agree with these comments, so that you could have a number of people that were signed on to the deal. They're trying, it looks like, to get the Bond Commission to say no. That this is not, that the city council has violated the charter, and this is not appropriate. It's kind of this is not really what we wanted, and they're making an end run.
In fairness to Mr. Lowry, I think and I said this Friday, there are clearly potential questions of law on all 3 potential term limit discussions. And so where we are today is that what is going to the Bond Commission? If I were to be fair, to put the other hat on, what is going to the Bond Commission? Because if what's going to the Bond Commission is supposedly what the Citizens Charter Review Committee did, then that's not what this is. Because this is not what the Citizens Charter Review Committee did. But we can all agree there were potentially, perhaps fatal flaws with the Citizens Bond Charter Committee, process.
Sure.
But if what's going to the Bond Commission is something the Bossier City Council voted on, their own resolution, they clearly, under the Bossier City Charter, can send anything they want to. They're the elected body. They don't need a citizen's petition that by their votes they can send a request to put something before. That's also in the Bossier City Charter.
Right.
They can do it themselves. And so I'm curious, but that, as we discussed last week, potentially could have a minor flaw over the 3:35, 3:36 start time issue, because someone might want to split hairs and say, was that a legitimate public meeting if you didn't give 24 hours notice, you gave 23 hours and 59 minutes notice?
And the other question is, this is just a resolution before the Bond Commission from the City Council. They still have to pass an ordinance that they're going to pass at a later date that would then go to this just starts the ball rolling to get it on the agenda.
That part, to be fair, is not an issue. All the Bond Commission requires is the resolution. Matter of fact, it's what you normally see is the resolution.
They don't later require an ordinance as well?
To go to the Bond Commission today, all they require is the ordinance.
Okay.
So, yes, later on, they would have to perhaps, do the other part of it. But all that's required to be on the agenda today is the resolution, which it's clear they did pass a resolution last week. So they have a resolution in hand, and it's on the agenda for the Bond Commission, and we'll see what happens at 11 o'clock.
Now, that resolution calls for the election on December 7th. And if you're just getting on this train, it's critical, because if you vote on it December 7th and you pass it, then this measure is not retroactive, though.
The one the Bossier City Council is sending forward on the Bond Commission today is prospective. It is a normal term limits bill. And again, this will be editorial. I'll put my opinion in here. That's also what the Bond Commission's used to. They deal with these votes all the time.
Right.
And they are used to a normal term limits bill that says we'd like to put term limits in our Constitution, in our charter, and that means from this point forward, you could only serve this many terms and going forward. Effectively, it's a part of what's called ex post facto law. That there's a concept in law that says we ex post facto, we can't pass something that's retroactive. We can't go back and pass a law that says, oh, Miss McCarty, we're now going to have made it illegal last year that you were speeding on this road. You know, in this case, it's term limits. It's a little more gray. And I think that's a fair conversation. But most term limits bills have never gone back. And as I like to point out, there's a second part to the charter bill and the citizens petition bill, not the one the council put forward. Is they also want to make it a lifetime ban. That's the second thing that doesn't come up very often.
Right.
If you've already served these terms, you forever now and can never in the future run again. And that's the other part I think is going to be that's ex post facto. You know, and I think we're all familiar in the city of Shreveport with the Joe Shine,
James Green
situation where they basically shared the seat back and forth because we have term limits.
Sure.
And we're familiar in the legislature where people can run for the legislature after so many years, be in the Senate. You can even go back to the legislature if you want to. But you can't generally say, no, you can't serve forever.
Yeah, exactly. When we come back, Shreveport Police Headquarters, what's going to happen with regard to that? Is the city moving forward rapidly enough for the council? That's up next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Okay. Scott Hughes in for Mike Martindale. Pretty big rush to get the police department folks moved out of the dilapidated building they're at on Texas Street.
Rush, really?
Yeah, that's what
can
we're
we ask
saying
the
now.
council?
Council doesn't think it's been rushed. They want it moved faster.
I do think that they are trying to move fast. I mean, we're of course joking about it. It's what we do. But I think they are trying to move fast, just apparently not fast enough for some people.
I'm struggling with something I heard maybe during the council work session, or I'm not sure, that it's going to probably have to be 2 or 3 sites. I really have a problem with that. I really have a problem with retrofitting 3 sites for something you're only going to use temporarily, and then you're going to go away and go do something and go be somewhere else. I really hope they find a site that can accommodate everybody, and they can move into it temporarily, fix it up temporarily. I mean, the Sears building would have been great for that. That's now off the table. Because it's got tons of parking. I just really don't like the idea of 2 or 3 places.
It doesn't, and I'll be honest, this one does confuse me because there are buildings all over this city that seemingly would work. Now, I think there are some issues. I mean, yes, and I think you've had some of them on your show. You have detective investigative rooms, with one-way mirrors and camera recording. There are certainly security issues because it is a police building, both to protect the officers and to I'm going to say the criminal element, but those who've been arrested. We'll say it that way.
Sure.
Because and then I don't know if they have a jail facility there or not, if they're going to keep using the city jail, how that's going to work as well. But the longer this goes, the more it raises questions. I'll say that. I think the council's correct in raising questions. I think the health and safety of the officers comes first, of those people that work in the facility.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, and try to be objective here, do you think we have lollygagged? I mean, this was voted on in 21 to build a new police headquarters. And I was surprised they were going to build the substations first, and then the headquarters would be the next thing. I thought they'd move quickly on the police headquarters, but that's not what they moved first on. And so I'm kind of, do you think they've lollygagged at all on
As
this?
the spokesperson for Ninth Street, I say no. and of course, that's a joke. Yes, I've always had a concern of how quick it takes local municipalities, particularly maybe some on this side of the river, to implement bond issues. But I do think, and I think the mayor has said this precedes the Arsenault administration. This goes back to the Perkins administration, and to be honest, maybe back before that. And what I think I'm seeing now, and I'm not a firsthand fact, watcher of this, But it appears now, and I think I said this Friday, we may be caught up in the good to great, the John Maxwell book analogy. We are so trying to be great, to make this perfect, that we are missing, we've got to do something. We can be good. We can find a quick facility and move. And what I can't figure out is, why are we so now deep into police substations? We should already be under construction. And so, the theory of bonds, let's just go to the theory of bonds, whether it's schools, roads, or in this case, police stations or fire stations. When you pass a bond, the intent is you're going to make the public improvement quickly.
Right.
And then the public improvement, particularly in schools cases, and it's going to return quality of life, it's going to return value, and then it's going to increase the economic activity of your city, and the bonds are going to pay for themselves. Mm-hmm. But when you take 5, 6, 10, 13 years, for Ninth Street, you get so far removed from the value. First of all, the projects cost way more than you budgeted, which then you get caught in a death cycle, because now the project costs more. You have to redesign the project. You have to get more money. And that's where I'm afraid we are now at the police station. We're finding out that to be perfect, it's going to cost us more.
Right. And I was thinking the other day, because they're moving, the traffic division's going to be in one of the substations, and other people are going to be in the substations, and
which aren't under construction yet either. That's the problem.
Right.
I think the original intent was, great, we'll just ride out this city hall disaster, the old city hall where the police station is, and we'll move straight to the substations.
Right.
And then we'll come back and renovate the main police station. But now we can't do that.
But it occurred to me, if you're going to move the traffic bureau into a substation and other folks are being moved into, we don't need as big a police headquarters anymore. If we're now going to move the traffic bureau into a police substation, and that's where they're going to be, can we scale back the police headquarters price? Because they said it was going to be $27 million. Now it's ballooning way above that.
Well, and that may be, and again, I'm just speculating here. It's what we do best on the radio in the morning.
Absolutely.
But maybe that's the problem with the North Shreveport substation now. Maybe we're starting to change our mind on substations. I don't know. Maybe the council knows something we don't know. But that's what came up with the North Shreveport station. All of a sudden, they're all concerned over this term in the lease that they may have to claw back, when we probably should already be halfway through construction of a station at this point.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, I think we all agree something needs to be done, and I think it needs to be done quickly.
Right.
There are serious, I say serious, there are legitimate health concerns right now with the people working in the current building, and whatever we're going to do, we need to do it and move on.
When we get back, we've talked about these thieves just stealing stuff from stores out in California and walking off.
Thank God that's a California problem. Hold your beer?
Yeah, hold my beer. When we get back, we'll explain what happened here.
They're doing it locally now?
Oh, yeah. That's coming up. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Oh, this makes me so angry. It makes me so angry. And I want these ladies caught immediately. And I'm sure the police department is on it. Here's the story, if you haven't seen it. Thanks to Shreveport Councilman Grayson Butcher, put the video up of two women on Saturday going into Bath and Body Works on Uri Drive. Is that where it is?
Based on what we can tell, the store would be Bath and Body Works.
Okay. And they have what looks to be big duffel bags. I mean, big, large duffel bags. And they are piling those tall candles, or it looks like candles, into their bags. Just one right after another. Filling the bags up with the candles. And then they leisurely stroll out the store.
That's what the video would seem to show.
And there's video. It looks like the video is from another customer or perhaps an employee, shot from, 20 feet away from them across the store. Perhaps it's a store camera in the building. I don't know. Perhaps it's, and you see another customer walk right up to him, between them, and he's looking for stuff. And another customer looking at him, watching him put stuff in their bag.
There's one customer just waiting for them to get out of the way so they can get candles as well. They have a little shopping basket.
They cleaned off one of the shelves. Cleaned it off. The candles that were in that little section were gone. Are we pursuing these women? Was the police department ever called? Did they show up? I'm sure police were called. I imagine it's a matter of, now you just look at the video and you find out who these ladies are. What on earth kind of thing do people think is okay to do this? I can't even get in their brains. Can you?
Assuming the video is what it portends to show. And, we like to be careful because it's not our video and we're watching something secondhand. But it does appear to show two customers just filling up bags and walking out of the store. They don't appear to check out.
This just happens in California, Scott Hughes. This doesn't happen in Shreveport.
It happens, I think, all over the place. I think crime is universal.
Who in today's society thinks you're going to get away with this? That the police will just, it's just candles. It's a few $100s worth of candles. It's all right. I'm not going to pursue them. I'm at a loss for words. I'm stunned watching this. We're going to try to get the video and put it at keelnews.com shortly. What unbelievable.
It'll generate a lot of clicks.
It reminds me of remember the woman, may she rest in peace, she's deceased now, who went into the Thrifty Liquor and was putting bottle after bottle after bottle into her pants.
The pants lady, yeah.
And then putting them in her decoupage, is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Sure. We'll go with you on that.
She had 18 bottles of liquor.
It was 18 bottles. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Well, and the real shame, beyond the obvious, beyond just a criminal issue here potentially, is that this store is a small mom and pop.
Yes.
It's a locally owned store. Because the cynic in me goes, well, you know who doesn't get robbed like that? Amazon.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that packages can be picked up on the porch pirates, et cetera.
Sure.
But, when somebody goes through the effort and they open a storefront and then a loss of something like this, and we're not making light of it, but even this crime, these are candles, and if they took 20 or 30 potentially at $10, $15 a candle, that's a couple $100.
Yeah.
But that's profit. That they're going to have to sell 4 times those candles to make up the loss of those candles.
And raise the price for the rest of us.
And ultimately, when communities survive on the jobs here, they survive on the tax base here. And it's just another reason people are doing more and more online shopping because the small mom and pops just can't stay in business if they're just going to see their inventory walk out the door.
Absolutely. When we come back, early voting is about to kick off in Louisiana. In many states, it's already started.
Well underway in many states.
We will talk about that when we get back. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Election season is upon us. Early voting in Louisiana kicks off Friday.
It's this Friday. It is a Tuesday election. This is the federal election for president, so we will vote on a Tuesday. So we're a little different in the early voting. Going to start on Friday. It will include 2 Saturdays.
Okay. It does not include the Sundays that are involved, and it runs through Tuesday the 29th.
Correct. About a week out.
So if you're planning to be gone for Election Day or you think you might not be able to get to the polls on Election Day, early voting is what you need to do. And that's pretty simple. You go to your registrar of voters office or they have satellite locations set up.
Yes, one is at the Hamilton Library there on Coons. I believe in Bossier City you can vote at the annex there, I think on the Benton Road area.
Yeah.
And this is early voting. Early voting is where any citizen that's registered to vote can simply go in and cast a ballot. You and I could go to the courthouse annexed in downtown, there, and we could just walk up and vote. That's different than absentee balloting. Absentee balloting is when they mail you a ballot to your house.
Right.
And so both absentee balloting has actually been going on already in Louisiana.
Yes.
If you're over a certain age or you've requested a ballot, both my girls have received a ballot. I think your sons often receive ballots since they're out of town. on military service. And so those ballots are out. But
Right.
Early voting, where we can just walk in, show an ID, and vote.
And it's a pretty simple ballot. It's not a very, I think there's one constitutional amendment.
There is one constitutional amendment. It's a kind of confusing constitutional amendment that deals with offshore revenue and flood protection. And if I understand it, and I don't want to overstate it because I haven't spent a lot of time on it, but basically we have some things we do now to fund things, and they want to make sure that if we do alternate energy sources, green energy, I think that they'll also pay into those funds as
To
well.
help restore the coast,
That's how I
yeah.
kind of understand that.
Which is logical. If you're going to spend energy money to restore the coast, spend all kinds of energy money on the coast.
Correct.
So
And then
I'm fine with
obviously
that.
everyone in Louisiana will vote on the top of the ballot, which is president. The primary two candidates will be former President Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris. There are, for the record, a lot of other people running for president.
Sure,
So
it's
be
filled up.
prepared when you go there. It's not just two choices.
And
But
we
those-
also have the congressional races. This is one that may be different. You're not used to.
Everyone in Louisiana will vote for their congressman. We do not have any senators running. John Kennedy and Cassidy are not on the ballot this time. We're in that off cycle. But everyone will vote for their congressman. For most people in Northwest Louisiana, our listening audience, our congressman's Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson does have an opponent. It is another Republican running against him, although Mike Johnson is expected to win fairly easily.
Yep.
New to our area is they redrew what was Garrett Graves' congressional district.
Right.
And so now the Garrett Graves Baton Rouge congressional district comes through Alexandria up to us, and it will involve Cleo Fields as probably the major player on that, with Elbert Guillory being an African-American Republican candidate.
Yep.
And parts of Shreveport will vote for that.
And you don't realize it. So check your ballot ahead of time. Most definitely. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Now, breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Scott Hughes in for Mike Martindale today. Cedric Glover, day one. DDA. This is his first day. Is he at his desk already?
It is not 8 o'clock yet.
Not yet. You think he's en route?
I don't know.
What do you think Cedric Glover needs to do to make downtown better? What would you tell if you're the boss and you wave your magic wand and say you got to do this?
Well, I think we talked briefly Friday on this topic. To me, it's a three-part list. I think, number one, you need to keep the good things that are going downtown going. And there are some good things. They've added farmers markets. They've got festivals. They've got people living downtown. And so you want to keep that momentum going. I think, number two, you want to address the immediate fires. Put out any fires that are going on. And right now, the fires seem to be that we have some blight down there. We have some police issues down there. And to be honest, we have some development concerns. I think we are all excited that Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, is coming to town, but there's questions on those leases. There's questions on what's going to happen with those properties. There's some other developments, and he knows very well about the state building relocating down there. You want to keep all that going, and you want to solve those problems. But I think the biggest thing that people are looking for out of Cedric, out of the new administration of DDA, is what's your vision? And I think that when you think of downtown development authorities, and I mentioned Friday, I go back to Andy Taft when he first came in. I know there are people before him, and I've watched everyone since. DDA is always a vision organization.
Right.
Operationally, and that was the first part as well, they have contracts, they do city parking, they do certain things, keep all the trains on the track. But you got to show us the vision. You got to take us somewhere. And I think with downtown, we've had competing visions. We've had casinos come in. Are we going to do development? Are we a film deal? Are we going to Cross Bayou 2, Cross Bayou 3? And so what is the vision? And you generally get a few months to do that, but that's what I'm really looking for. I think that he'll keep the trains on the track, and there's still people there. There's staff there, and there are things going on. I think he can resolve the issues that are going on right now. But long term, where do we go? What's the vision for Shreveport?
How does he get along with the city council? I mean, they're going to be needing to work on some things together, right?
Well, yes and no. The DDA is an interesting position. On the one hand, it's what we call a quasi-public body, because on the one hand, it's independent. It has it has two boards of directors. It's the DDA and it's the DSDC. And so it has boards of directors. That's who he actually will answer to. I think you've had Michael Corbin on. He's the chairman of one of those boards. That's who hired Cedric Glover. But through contractual relationships, through zoning, through the things that DDA has to get into, they should have a very good working relationship with the council and with the mayor. And I think that's what politically we're all going to have to wait and see. Cedric's a great politician. I've said this before on your show. I think two of the best politicians in our area are Cedric Glover and Mike Johnson. And so Cedric has that ability. He's going to need that skill set to walk through this landmine.
Absolutely. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Monday morning. Don't we love Monday morning?
We love Monday.
Scott is in for Mike. Mike's
off.
It's
a busy week, too.
It is going to be.
We got Caddo Commission. We got bond meetings. We got everything's going on.
That's where I want to start with you this hour. The Caddo Commission work session is today. Their regular meeting is Thursday. And there is a resolution on the agenda for the Caddo Commission, essentially to show support for the Friends of Fairgrounds Field. Encouraging the city to try to save the stadium. Does the commission have a dog in the hunt is my first question. They really don't, do they?
I would say they don't have a dog in the hunt outside that it's a public issue, and the Caddo Commission has shown a penance to like to weigh in through resolutions on things at the national, state, and now local level. But I think it's dangerous when one governmental body starts getting into the business of the other governmental bodies. Because I'll say this, I don't think the Caddo Parish Commission would like it one bit if the Caddo School Board or the City Council started sending resolutions to them on things that they were in charge of. They would probably take an affront to that.
Thank you for things they should do. Like we think your animal shelter should be bigger. You should build a bigger animal shelter. You should have more animal control trucks on the street.
Now, and don't get me wrong, this is different than working together. I think we all want to see our entities work together. And there is an intergovernmental council that meets. It's sort of an informal meeting, and there are times when they should all be together. Amazon's coming to town. We'd like a resolution from all three entities to support Amazon coming to town.
You bet.
But that's not what this is. This is a city asset, Fairgrounds Field. The city built it back in, I guess, 80s.
Yep.
And the city owns it, and the city's responsible for it. The city's going to demo it. And now you're going to have a non-city entity, the Caddo Parish Commission, apparently a resolution. Let's be fair, it's a resolution. It's being proposed.
It has no teeth.
I think it has no teeth, and B, it hasn't even been voted on yet.
Right.
And I think we talked in the last hour, and I'll make that comment again since we're talking about it again. I think at this point, if you do want to wade into that issue, you need to write a check.
Thank you.
A resolution means nothing. You're wading into somebody else's business and not giving them any resources. And I think Tom Arsenault, the mayor of Shreveport, has made it very clear for the last couple of years, since before he took office, if I remember correctly, he said, here's my checklist, Friends of Fairground Field. Here's the 5 things that if you do these things, we can have a conversation. And to date, according to the mayor, they haven't done any of those things.
Right.
And one of those things, and I would say the most critical of those things, is show me the money.
Yes. Do you have a pile of money? Do you have some investors that are willing to invest to keep the property? And we have heard from many, many people, not just the mayor, that the stadium in its condition for use for baseball it's obsolete. It doesn't have the suites. It doesn't have the amenities that you would need to add. That would be cost prohibitive.
Now, if the Caddo Commission wants to get in, let's make it very clear, since they want to wade into this problem. One thing the Caddo Commission does have, a pile of money.
Yeah.
They are sitting on a pile of money, which no one talks about.
No.
But they had all that shale money came in, and I've not seen an investment plan for that money. But if they decided this is something they want to do, then I'm pretty sure they can amend that resolution today or later this week, and they can put up the millions of dollars to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm being facetious when I say I would love to see the Shreveport City Council give it to the commission. Y'all care so much about it? It's your stadium now.
Well,
take care of it.
I'll take point counterpoint, as I used to do on old Saturday Night Live. I do not, because I think all that would do is delay an inevitable decision. I think one thing, and again, I think 2 or 3 years ago, a lot of people had honest conversation around this. My organization, the Realtors, both of our major committees and our board discussed this and took positions as we were requested to by all the parties. And the problem is we are now 2 years down the road, and I think people are ready to move on. And the answer, I believe, at this point is not to relitigate this issue. It's to move on.
Yeah.
And so giving it to the Caddo Commission, I think, would only be a delay tactic, and we'd only see further decline in the facility. And in the defense of the mayor, and I think now the city, it's become an eyesore. So we either have, it's kind of like the police station. Regardless of what we do, we need to do it fast.
Right.
And so if we're going to save this facility, then let's put the money up and save the facility. No more resolutions of support for long-term to do X. If you want to save it, they could buy it.
Yeah. Buy it. Y'all go do something with it. Let's see. But give them a time frame. You can't leave it sitting there.
The one thing I'm very sure of is there is no long-term renter of that facility.
No.
There is no baseball team coming to town.
No.
And my family knows minor league baseball pretty well, Major League Baseball. There's no baseball coming to town. Matter of fact, that's highly regulated now. There aren't even independent teams anymore.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk with Grace Ann Blake, Caddo Commissioner, coming up at about 8:40. We'll weigh in. Let her weigh in.
She gets to vote.
Yeah, she'll have a vote. Does this thing have any chance of passing? We'll talk with her coming up at about 8:40. When we get back, boy, distracted driving. Wait till I tell you what I saw over the weekend, and then went and did a little research and was shocked.
Let me guess, you got your phone out while you were driving and got a video of it, of distracted driving.
No,
you've been doing better, haven't you?
I have been doing way better. And I'll tell you what happened. It's kind of amazing. That is next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Back with more of Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
We are back. I want to tell you a personal story that happened to me a few days ago. Driving on East Kings near the Duck Pond, headed north toward Preston. I'm behind a car in the left lane, and the car's kind of going a little slow. And so I was going to go. They weren't moving over, so I was going to
pass in the right.
I was going to pass them in the right lane.
Okay, so we're starting out with good driving technique.
Yeah. Well, I waited a minute. I was giving them a minute to see if they were going to move, and they did not. And then just before I moved over, they drifted over into the oncoming southbound lane.
Ooh, that's a curvy road. That could be dangerous.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, holy crud. And so I just honked just a smidge, like, you're in the wrong lane. You're getting ready to get killed.
You're a horn user.
Every now and then, not very often. And so she moved back over into her lane. Well, that's when I backed up because I'm like, oh, she's going to overcorrect and swerve.
You either have to get around or back off.
Yeah. So then I decide I'm going to go around her fast in the right. So I go around her and I look, and it's a teenage girl with her cell phone in her lap, and she's doing something on her cell phone, whether she's texting or TikToking, I don't know. And I thought, she's nearly going to kill herself because she cannot put that phone down in the other seat.
It was a life-changing text, I'm sure.
Oh, that's what's so frightening. It was probably so trivial.
It almost became a life-changing text.
Yes. I get home and I start looking about distracted driving, and Louisiana is the number 3 state for distracted driving.
Who's worse than us?
New Mexico and was it Mississippi? I thought, holy cow. And then I got to thinking, Scott, and this is really radical McCarty stuff here. What did we just change in Louisiana in the schools because the kids were getting so distracted?
I remember it was an uproar. They passed a rule and said the kids can't have the cell phones anymore in schools, and it was going to be the end of the earth.
Yeah.
Crickets now.
What if
everyone's happy with that, by the way?
What if we passed a law
What if we passed the law?
That cell phones are not allowed in cars.
I think we have the law. I think it's already illegal to drive while using a cell phone.
But
I think we have hands-free
But
laws.
you can still get around it, and police don't pull you over for that anymore. What if you can no longer have it in your car?
Well, the problem, and now you get back to the role of government and big government, is the role isn't until and unless you attach that to the vehicle working, you can do anything. We have laws that say you cannot drink and drive, and people do that all the time. But you can hook a breathalyzer up to the car. And trust me, I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating the opposite.
Yeah.
The situation is we have the laws. And at the end of the day, you can't regulate morality, as people always say.
Right.
And so what we need now, there are some things, and some of the insurance companies now have these little apps where you can get, what you can do is reward good behavior. And that's what some of the insurance companies have done. If you put this app on your phone, and then we monitor your phone usage while you're driving, and you get a better insurance rate or a worse insurance rate.
I have that on mine, actually. I use it, and I keep my phone in my passenger seat, in my purse, typically the whole time I'm driving. I might look at it if I'm at a red light only, and then I put it back. I had a bad habit. I'm going to be the first to admit I had a bad habit of doing this.
And some of our phones, to be fair, some of our phones these days are hooked into our cars through CarPlay, and sometimes through the map, and they're the MapQuest, and they're giving us directions. But what you're describing is a different deal. You're describing the physical picking up the phone and interacting through social media, not a hands-free phone call, or my map is playing music or telling me to take a left turn at the next red light.
Well, and you know, now the Bentley's got everything it comes up on the screen.
It's self-driving.
Yes, pretty much.
Might
it
as well
does
take
everything.
a Tesla taxi as much as you're...
It does everything. You know, it does the GPS. It'll shoot the text messages to me. Now, it doesn't let me return texts while I'm driving unless it's voice activate. You know, I have to voice it. And then it spells everything wrong because it's so
I had
screwy.
that in my car and I turned it off. I even got where I don't like it telling me I had text. I just don't even leave my phone there. And like you, I mean, I'll be honest, when I hit a red light, I will often look down at it briefly. But not while moving. We could have been talking about that young girl dead, and I know that text message was critically important. I just urge you, please put those phones down, because I mean I nearly saw this little girl get in a head-on collision, and God knows somebody else would have been hurt too. I mean we were going about 35, 45 miles an hour, so you know who knows what could happen. But I didn't realize it's a big problem in Louisiana. That's one of the reasons our insurance rates are so high, because our distracted driving crashes third in the country. Our insurance, I didn't realize how high you told a personal story. I'll tell a quick one. We have a daughter now that's, she's 22, and she's now permanently living up in Virginia at law school. And so one of our cars that's always been licensed here in Louisiana, that she was a driver of while in the state, we've now relocated. So I had the experience of moving a car I own from state to state and making her the primary driver. And so what would you think of taking someone that wasn't a driver, not owning a car, and putting in her name in a different state? If you said it made my insurance rates go down $800 a year. Yes, it cost me less to put the car in my 22-year-old daughter's name in another state. That's how bad our insurance rates are. I was stunned. I figured it would go up because she was the primary driver now.
Sure.
But no, Virginia has such better insurance rates than Louisiana that it's $800 savings to me.
Wow. Unbelievable.
We got to do something about our insurance rates. It's killing us.
Unbelievable. Caddo Commissioner Grace Ann Blake's going to join us in about 10 minutes. When we come back, have you seen the temps lately and what's ahead? We'll talk about that coming up. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Let's get back to the show with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Okay. Scott Hughes in for Mike Martindale. He'll be back with us tomorrow. Yesterday was hot, 98 degrees.
That's not just hot. That might have been a record.
It was.
Might have crushed a record.
Crushed a record. We break records by a degree or 2 degrees. The old record for yesterday, what was it, October 13th, was 92, set back in 1963. We got to 98. 98 degrees yesterday.
I mean, that's just not topping a record. That's like an 8 or 9% increase of a record. That's unbelievable.
Annihilating. It must be
hot.
global warming. It's got to be.
And let's avoid that topic this morning. But in a way, yes. I mean, that's why that last hurricane, the hurricanes, the Gulf is extremely warm. The water's warm. That's why it's warm. Mm-hmm. We were down the Florida Keys last summer. We had people that lived down the Florida Keys, and the coral's dying. Hundreds of years, the coral's been there, and now the temperature imbalance, it changes the water.
Yeah.
And the coral now is starting to die down the Keys because the water's too hot.
Well, it's going to be cold Wednesday.
Well, you get the swings. We joke about global warming, but people always say, "Oh, well, it's going to be cold." You get the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
The crazy swings now start happening weather-wise.
Wednesday, listen to this. The high Wednesday is only 71, and the low for Wednesday, 44 degrees.
I've lived here a long time, as you have. And all I know is, I'll just go the last 2 years because I don't know the exact dates. But I know in the last 2 years, I think we've been like -8 here in the Arklatex, and we've been 113.
Yeah.
I've seen both temperatures where we live, and that's just extremes.
Unbelievable.
So I'm happy for the moderate temperatures.
Yeah, definitely.
Bring on the gumbo weather.
Yes, please do. Grace Ann Blake, Caddo Parish Commissioner, going to join us coming up next. The commission weighing in on Fairgrounds Field. Why? Should they be? Should they pass this resolution?
It's on the agenda.
Yeah. We'll get her take on that coming up next. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
More breaking news and trending talk with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
And on the Jack Spring Electric Newsmaker Hotline, Caddo Parish Commissioner Grace Ann Blake joining us. Scott Hughes is in for Mike Martindale this morning. Good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning to you both.
Caddo Parish Commission has a resolution on the agenda. I think it was put on last month and it was delayed. In support of the Friends of Fairgrounds Field, who are trying to save the old stadium. First off, what does this have to do with the Caddo Commission is my question.
Well, Roy Burrell, to be fair, it's his district. And so he did bring up concerns of health issues about 2 years ago for tearing it down. So I think that's where it originated from. So let's be fair that he, many years ago, was concerned with health issues. But since then, the mayor has made it clear that we now have no health issues with concerning for demolishing the fairground fields.
So we don't need the resolution now to support the Friends of Fairgrounds Field. John Paul Young's put it on the agenda. Do you have an idea why at this point?
I would say as a friendly, maybe last hurrah, that there are people that have good memories of the fairground fields. I'm honestly not for sure. I know that he has called a meeting for Tuesday for more information. I plan to attend that. I, like Scott Hughes, would like to have the conversation with the resolution of why are we creating resolutions against another entity in our community that has done much research and the hard work to move forward and do something positive for the community. That's my main issue.
Grace Ann, I was going to say good morning.
Yes.
You mentioned that this is, you and I seem to agree that it may or may not be an issue for the commission, but since it's going to be on the agenda, you mentioned it's in Commissioner Burrell's district. And I certainly understand 2 years ago, the health concerns, that was all legit. And we've worked through that. The community's worked through that.
Correct.
But generally, elected bodies sort of have an unwritten rule that the person whose district it is kind of leads the filing, leads the discussion. This seems to be coming from another commissioner. Do you know what Mr. Burrell's position is on this, since it is his district? We can at least go there.
I know that his position would be to support Fairground Fields. I mean, he's made that very clear.
To try to save it.
All came about, correct.
So let me ask you this then, Madam Commissioner. We need $1 million to save it. Y'all got some money? Let's pony up. Is Mr. Burrell prepared to pony up some money? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it?
I think John Paul Young is prepared to pony up some money to save it. Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul Young prepared to pony up some money to save it? Is John Paul I believe not. I believe that the conversation is this is a show of support. And I think that's one of my concerns. If you go back to many, many months ago, Chris Crackman and I had great concerns for the amount of resolutions that the Caddo Commission continued to put forward. And so I think that's where I would like to have the conversation go, is why are we continuing to bring resolutions, even ordinances that I would say are not a part of supporting what our work is to do with the Caddo Commission.
Let me change gears. And would the Caddo Commission be happy if the Shreveport City Council passed a resolution calling on y'all to have a bigger animal shelter, to have more animal control trucks? Would you guys be would be happy with that? I mean, the city council getting in your business, or the school board?
Well, absolutely. And I think that, I was listening to the radio and, had no clue that you would be calling me to have a conversation about this. And I was cheering on Scott Hughes because that's my concern, is we're getting wonky with these resolutions. That I think that there has been enough information. Listen, I grew up down the street. I lived on Parham Drive, loved Fairground Fields. I worked at Wendy's right adjacent to that property. I worked at Todd's Steakhouse. Great memories. It's not functionable. It's not functionable for a professional team. It's not functionable for tournaments. At this point, I'm not for sure this is not a historical site. There are so many other opportunities to have that space cleared that could do great positive things for Shreveport, for Caddo Parish. Hey, let's talk about the Twin Cities, Shreveport and Bossier. Let's move forward and do something to grow the community legit. I think that we all have great fond memories of that location. However, moving forward, how can we help all of the community? Are there any other ideas, things that we could put there that would help the children of Shreveport, Caddo Parish, the entertainment-wise? I just think that we really have to move forward and stop focusing on the past.
Yeah, because Grace Ann, Caddo Parish has its own parks and rec. You have your own facilities. Correct. And so do you think this passes? Do you think this is something that commissioners want to eventually take on? Because I think if it passes, then you got to be willing to commit money to it. Are you willing to take money from your other things that you do?
I'm not. And a month ago, this was brought up, and there was a heated, conversation of people going back and forth about their opinions on this. I think that this is many years too late.
Mm-hmm. Does this resolution pass? Grace Ann, does this resolution pass?
I think that we have a pretty strong divide on this issue on the commission. A resolution at the end of the day does not mean that this is an ordinance. This does not mean that we're funding. This means if it were to pass, there are some commissioners that are in support of. I just would like to remind people this is why creating resolutions without, I think, structure behind it to really have meat and potatoes of what will this mean, it causes a bigger issue. I, for one, want to work with the city of Shreveport to do things that really will provide immediate growth in this community.
Well, facetiously, I said, let's let the city donate it to the Caddo Commission. Then it's your problem. You're good. Are you good with that?
No, but heck no.
Well, and I want to close on a positive note, because I do that. I mentioned a second ago. I do think the Caddo Parish Commission, the Caddo Parish folks, you have an excellent parks and recreation to program. I think Patrick Wesley runs your group, and I've not seen this in your master plan. That'd be my other question: is if this is something important to the commission, have y'all put this in your master plan? Because ultimately, my concern is if you do support it, then you're going to have to put money up. That's what the resolution means to me. That's what the Friends of Fairgrounds Field are asking for: people to show support long term to rehab the facility and support it financially. And that's what I don't sense, that there is a will to do that long term. I haven't seen it in Caddo Parish's plan.
There is not in a master plan for this to be a part of Caddo Parish.
Okay.
I think that once again, moving forward, I would hope that we would think a little more through these resolutions, that if we are in support of something, what does that really mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Are Are there repercussions? I would like to say real quick, this is like having a tree that is struck by lightning and keeping it there because it's beautiful, because your children once played on a tire swing. However, we know that storms can come and blow that tree down that is no longer functioning and do more damage.
Yeah.
This is an eyesore. It's been an eyesore for a long time. Let's get rid of the damage. Let's think about future.
Gotcha. Grace Ann Blake, Caddo Commissioner. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Grace Ann.
Thank you.
You bet. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.
Stories of the day with Mike and McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Thank you for being in, Scott Hughes, for today, Friday and today. We appreciate it a ton.
It went fast.
Yes, we're almost done. Look at the clock. Holy cow. You're going to your regular job today at the Real Estate Association, correct?
Monday through Friday. Actually, realtors work the weekends too, so we don't open the office on the weekends. But my people work 7 days a week.
I haven't told you I'm going to ask you this, which is how I always end the show. How are real estate sales in Louisiana, in Northwest Louisiana? How is the market?
The markets are down a little bit, to be fair. We are seeing numbers in 24 more like we saw numbers in 2018, 2019. So they're not horrible. We're not in a housing recession. It's just interest rates. Interest rates went a little high. Inventory went a little low. It's been a little more difficult to buy a house. Price is way up. Price is up.
So it's a good time to sell?
It's if you own a home, it's going to be a good time to sell. Obviously, any time is a good time to sell. We're going to say that in my business, but interest rates are starting to come down now, and we think they'll continue to come down through 25. And unfortunately, the housing prices are not going to come down. It's a supply and demand issue, just like that's what causes inflation, supply and demand. So the markets are a little slower in 24, but prices remained high, and we think 25 is going to be a much better year.
When you hear Lauren Scott say we're going to add 5,000 jobs in Northwest Louisiana over 2 years,
we believe he's correct.
You have to think, where are they going to live?
It's a concern, and where they're going to live is an issue. Now, one thing about Shreveport Bossier is you've got to stop thinking of Shreveport Bossier. We are the Arklatex, and you are seeing a lot of growth in the Benton area, the Houghton area, the Stonewall, Keithville area. Minden is even seeing, a lot more activity. And with I-49 and with I-220 and some of the roads we have, where we have excellent roads, there are going to be people building up into North Caddo. There'll be people living over in East Texas. But no, that is going to be a limiting factor for us is affordable housing.
And it's not the high dollar house. Again, you say it's affordable. You're saying for the middle income family, that's where we're lacking the inventory.
We're doing fine in $600,000 housing and above. We can build all that we need. Where we really struggle is for first-time home buyers, for rental apartments. And this is where, to come back to other issues, this is where those emergency actions on those 6 apartment complexes, those are gone. And whatever you thought of those apartment complexes, people were living there, and now they have to live somewhere else, and the whole domino effect comes into play, and that's less housing in the market, more pressure, especially on moderate and low-income housing.
Scott Hughes, always great to have you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You bet. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL.